Hi, welcome back. I am Jen Potter, and I am joined today here with Jennifer Hobson. So, Jen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I know we've been on the show several times before, and we get to talk about all the different things. Today, nothing is different. We have some amazing topics to talk about, and we'll jump right into the first one. The first thing that we're going to talk about today is time management. And anybody who knows me knows that I love time management. It's something that I strive for. I'm not fantastic at it, but I try every day to get better and better. So we'll just jump right in and just start talking about it.
So, time management is one of those things that people are constantly striving to accomplish or get better at, or they've kind of given up on, right? They're not really sure how to be the most effective with their time, so they just kind of try and figure it out day by day. What I have found with time management, and I know some people don't want to hear this, maybe even you, but people that think time management is multitasking, they're incorrect. Most people that multitask, they're not actually as effective as they could be. And they really need to peel it back and say, you know what, even though I think I'm really good at multitasking and getting multiple things done at the same time, I would actually be more effective and productive if I'm scheduling my time effectively.
Oh, I agree with you 110%. I have severe ADHD, and I'll be the first to tell you multitasking does not exist. Anybody who says that they multitask, yes, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? Can you talk on the phone while you're walking? Should you do it when you're driving? Probably not because your brain is somewhere else half the time. But you're absolutely right. Part of your brain has to shut off in order to focus on something. So whatever you're doing, you're not working to efficiency, right? And so while it seems like you're getting a lot of things done, you're actually creating more work for yourself. So I know I have a lot of tips and tricks on how I like to schedule my time management, but I'd love to hear what you have to say and, the different tips and tricks that you use.
What's funny is in the last 7 or 8 years of coaching other people to be successful in business, what I find time and time again is the people that are the most effective at time management are actually the busiest. When you have time that you can fill up, you fill it up with garbage, right? You fill it up with, and maybe it's not garbage, right? It's wind down time, but sometimes it is garbage, right? You're filling it with binge watching, or you're taking twice as long. I think about it this way. If you've ever been in school and at the beginning of the semester you meet the professor and they're telling you, hey, you're going to have this really big project due at the end of the semester, the majority of people, they don't get started on it in week one. They don't get started on it in week two. They don't even start it till the week of. Some people, I'm a recovering procrastinator, even wait till the day before because they get that dopamine hit of excitement. And that's where you really need to change your thought about how you utilize your time. You will fill the time that you're given. So you have to figure out, how do I be effective? How do I be proactive in getting the things that I need to get done? So my big tips for people, I know it's a no-brainer, scheduling your time. Scheduling your time has to be even down to your rest time, your reading time, your journaling time, what's dinner time, what's family time, and you have to put it in your calendar. I'm here to tell you, if you don't have it on your calendar, it's not going to happen. That is just the way that it is because you haven't dedicated time. What you're actually saying is it's not important enough to make it on your calendar. So scheduling your time, utilizing do not disturb. It's a great little tool. Putting it on your phone. A lot of us do things with a phone either in our hand or right by our side. I'm guilty of this. I have to put it in another space. I have to put it in another room, or I won't be completely focused on task. But you have that little do not disturb. So if you can't put it in another room because it's in another appendage, at least try do not disturb. Another one, creating your space. This one's really important. And sometimes maybe you don't have a house that has an office in it. So try a few things and figure out where you're most productive. For me, actually leaving the house, going into a separate space, putting some headphones in with non-word music, and really getting down, I am more effective in 30 minutes outside of the house than I am in 3 hours. So find your space. Maybe it is in your house, but it's already clean. Avoid the spaces that are messy and distracting because Then you get into, well, I'm going to organize my desk. Or if you're sitting in the kitchen trying to work and then you see the dirty dishes and then you have to figure out what's for dinner, you're going to be distracted. So pick your safe space to work in. And you have to prioritize based on your goals. That's really where I start. It's those four things. And then I work with clients from there. But if you're doing those four things, you're already ahead of the average person.
I agree with you. And like listening to you say all those things, I'm like, oh, I do that. I do that. Um, it's funny because one of the things that I like to do to set myself up for the week is I love to clear my desk and my working space. So before my week even starts on Sunday, I'll clear my desk out. I'll say, okay, this is going to be nice and clean. When I wake up in the morning, my laptop is where it needs to be. I literally set everything up around me. So I know when I come to sit down, I don't have to stress out about it. And my office is in the center of our house and there's no doors on it. And so for me, it's almost like a catch all. So my kids like throw their coats down, their shoes are on the floor. So like before I even start working, I'm like, this room needs to be cleaned. You need to pick up all your stuff because I have work I have to do. So you're absolutely right. Like myself included, if I don't have a clean space, I'm like, I'm cleaning my desk. And I will take the first 30 minutes of my day cleaning the desk in order to have a safe, comfortable space to be productive. So definitely having that space I think is super important. For me, I do it the day before or the night before to just ensure that I'm starting the day off right. It's almost like when I tell people one of my favorite books is uh, Make Your Bed. And every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do before I do anything is I make my bed, because I know that the way my day is starting is I already started off with a nice neat bed. I've already accomplished something. I'm ready to go on with my day. So yeah, I think I think that's super important. And you touched upon getting it into your calendar. In my house, everybody knows if it is not in the calendar, it does not exist. So exact same thing. It needs to be on the calendar. It needs to be important. And my schedule is insane. I run 5 businesses every single day. I have 3 kids, and people ask me all the time, they're like, how do you do it? Everything is scheduled. My kids' stuff is scheduled, my stuff is scheduled. And when I have to move stuff around like we had to do today, it's like, okay, I'm going to shift this and shift this. It's going to go on the calendar. And this is how this is going to work. And it takes away the stress. I know what's coming up next. I know what I'm doing next. It's not like you said, oh, well, I have 30 minutes in between. Do I binge watch for 30 minutes, or do I take the 30 minutes and do something productive? So I love that. Now, I don't personally put in things like my dinner or my breaks. And I do, like, when I get super, super busy, sometimes I'll put like breaks in to make sure that I actually take a break. But do you even put in like things like your dinner times and your free time and days off? Do you put all those things into your calendar?
At this point, I might not get down to the nitty gritty, but I think when you're working with someone that is trying to rearrange how they approach time management, it's a really good habit to start, because a lot of times, this is me, and this is my husband will back me up on this. I'm the person that's like, why don't we do this project? That'll only take 5 minutes. And he looks at me and he probably rolls his eyes, because in reality, he's like, Jen, that project doesn't take 5 minutes. That project takes an hour and a half. What are you thinking? So sometimes we have to start at that really minute level to figure out, all right, well, I'm going to make dinner. It doesn't take you 45 minutes, right? If you got 3 kids with you, you have to make sure they're fed. You typically feed them first. You need to make enough. All of the idea is you have to start with the nitty gritty to understand how much time you're actually spending on each task. Because if you haven't figured that out, you're setting yourself up for really a failure, because you don't actually know how much you can fit into a day. And the other side of that is, I really encourage people to, especially people like you that are busy and doing, you have to schedule, when you're not used to it, your you time, your reset time, your rest time. Because I find a lot of times with people that are very busy already, they don't have any time for that, and then they burn out or they get sick, and now they have to completely turn their calendar upside down.
Yeah, and that's super important. And I mean, I don't schedule like the day to day like breaks in between like I used to. But one of the things that I do is I actually don't make appointments on Mondays. So Mondays are the only days I actually try really hard not to have client interaction. And not that I don't want to meet with my clients, but it's a time that I say, okay, if I need some downtime, I can take time off. If I need a doctor's appointment, I can take time off. If I need to meet with somebody unexpected, I have the time off. So I always schedule Monday as like completely blocked in my calendar. Another thing that I do, and I'm not sure if this is something that you do, but this kind of falls into like the time management and boundaries, like the next step of it is typically in the summer, it's a little different because I have to work around my surf schedule, but I don't start till 9 and I am done talking to clients at 5. And I make it really known in all the footers of my email with every phone call. I am available after 9 o'clock. You know this. Most people know this about me. After 5 o'clock, I am not available. I may not get back to you right away. Like I also, just like you, do not disturb. I don't believe in instant gratification. And when you condition your clients to know that you're not going to get back to them right away, that you are not going to respond to something till after 9 a.m. I mean, I'm up working some days at 6 a.m., but I am not, actually interacting. And I schedule send emails. So I might do an email at 1 o'clock in the morning, but it's going to look as though I did it at 8 o'clock the next day. And I do this because I want people to respect my time. Because if we respect our time, other people will respect our time as well. And I think that that's really important because if in order for us to create that super strong schedule and do the things in a short period of time, we have to be respectful of those boundaries. Because if I answered the phone every time I was doing work, that goes back to your multitasking. Are we actually being efficient? The answer is no. I always have 50 to 100 text messages unread at all points in time because I schedule time for my text messages. So like after we're done recording today, I'm like, "Oh, I got 30 minutes. This is what I'm going to work on." And then I sit there for 30 minutes responding to emails and
Well,
text
I
and
think
text
it
messages.
teaches your clients as well that if you're going to respect your own time, you're also going to respect theirs. And that's really important. And I think people that don't have the habits that you have created have to start somewhere. And
Mhm.
that's with the bare basics, the minimums, where they're going to start. Start with scheduling everything. And then as you create those habits where you're like, I know how to protect my time and I know how to create boundaries, then you don't have to go down to every single hour of the day. And I think it's amazing that you set aside Monday, and that's a really amazing habit.
Yeah, and it took a long time because I would always fill it up. I'd be like, "Oh, I can meet for coffee. Oh, I can go and do this. Oh, I can do that." And I say no. I make sure that at a bare minimum, like absolute bare minimum, if I do have to go and do something, I have 4 hours to myself. 4 hours of this is my time. I'm not answering messages. I'm not answering emails. I'm going to have downtime, whether it's going for a pedicure, whether it's just sitting listening to music, whatever that may be, going surfing for 4 hours. I work every day of the week because, as you know, in the summertime I don't have a choice, right? Like I work in the water, and I'm surfing with the kids, and so I'm super busy all summer long. That if I don't have downtime, just like you said, we're gonna burn out. Like, and burnout is real. Like, even myself, like I can be the most efficient person in the world, and I burn out sometimes. I'm like halfway through this week, I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through the rest of the week, because we're so busy and it's exhausting sometimes, but it's important. It's so important to be efficient.
Absolutely. I have a couple of apps and kind of tricks that I use that I introduce to clients. So if someone's
Ooh,
looking
tell
for
me
something
more.
that's effective, I always use Calendly. It's something that's
Yep.
easy
Same.
to use. You can pay for it, but there's free options. So someone
Yep.
that's getting started, that's a really great way, like you said, to give boundaries, but to say, this is what I am available, this is what I have for you. And then you're really easy able to say, this is what I'm not available. I also utilize my Google Calendar. What I love about Google is you can invite other people, right? You can invite family members so they know what's going on and they know where your important time is. I even go old school with paper calendar, right? If I'm first planning out my month and then that get put into my Google Calendar. And then the multitasking piece, sometimes I'll think of something and I don't want to forget it because I will. So I use color notes. So I can just jot a note and then I can put it off to the side and revisit it. I don't know if you do that. They're like little post-it notes. There's a million apps like that, but that's what I like because I come from the age where you come home and your mom wrote you a note on an envelope or a random piece of paper and it gets lost and forgotten. So that's why I use that. And then one of the last ones, if you feel successful by utilizing a checklist where sometimes you just really need that, I actually use Google Tasks. So it's an easy way to click them off, and I know there. And at the end of the day, I can see what I've been successful at and where I have some room for improvement. So those are some that I use really at the early stages with people and time management.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. I Google Keep for all of my checklists, especially if we're repeating checklists, like I travel a lot. So I can
Mhm.
copy and paste and say, oh, when I'm going to this one conference, these are all the things that I brought with me
Yeah.
for efficiency because I'm such a checklist person. And like you said, there's so many different apps that you can use to just stay on top of it. And I don't know if you saw me like lift up my piece of paper because I love post-it notes. Like, look, I have color post-it notes here because I come from that age too, and our notes even for the show. I mean, I use my iPad for everything, but I love to have handwritten notes. And for me, I have a photographic memory, so I never have to actually go back to the note. I just need to write it down. So it's really important for me to just like get it out of my head because I'm like, oh, it's out of my head. I'll remember to do it instead of sitting there like trying to do one thing. And it's like, when you're at that kid trying to raise your hand going, oh, I have something to say. Oh, I have something to say, right? So I think it's really important to get it out of your head in order to continue to be efficient because if not, you're going to keep, squirrel moments like me, anyways. But I can't believe that we've already come to the end of this segment. Is there anything that you want to add to time management before we wrap it up?
I think the last thing people need to take time on are what are the actionable things you will do every day that move you towards your goal. Because if you haven't figured out what moves the needle, then you're just you're aimlessly swimming.
Love that. And we always have somewhere that we have to go. So we don't want to be swimming around in circles, right? We want to get to that next destination. So after the break, when we come back, we're going to be talking about building a supportive community. And I am your host, Jen Potter, and we will be right back.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now, you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Do you have diabetes? If you have insurance, you may qualify for a new continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends, spend more time in range, significantly lower your A1C, and share important data with loved ones and caregivers. Most importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Take charge of your health. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and have seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for a CGM today. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances cover continuous glucose monitors, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the CGM Health Hotline now.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter. I'm host of Networking Now, and I'm joined with Jennifer Hobson. And prior to the break, we were talking about time management. Now we're going to jump into building a supportive community. So thank you, Jen, so much for being here again. I'm always excited every time we talk about something. So jumping right into building a supportive community, I even think you can intertwine that with like what we were talking about, how we're able to set ourselves up for success. That was something that we said on the last segment, but I would love to just hear a little bit more about your thoughts on building that supportive community.
So I have a non-conventional thought about community. So when you're starting something like a business or you're getting into something new, a lot of people have the thought that they need the community first, that they're not going to be successful if they do it alone. They have to search for the people. And what I encourage people to do is get started anyway, do it alone, because if you can be successful by yourself, two things are going to happen. You're going to find your people, and you are going to go further and longer when you have those people. But at the beginning, if you're grasping every person that you currently know in the current version of you, those aren't going to be your people when you grow to the next level. So it's okay to get started alone. And when you really stick to what you believe in and what you're creating for people, whether it's a business or a program, the people that are meant to be around you and be the community that supports you at your next level, they'll show up.
That's really true, and I love that thought process, because sometimes people will come to me and they say, wow, you have such a big community, I want what you have, how do I do that? Well, it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to, just like you said, you create what you're working on, and you create the community that you want. And I run some of the biggest communities in the area, and sometimes people ask me, like, how long did that take? A decade. It took a decade. It took 10 years for me to get to the place that I am, but that's because it was strategic planning. It was, I'm going to work on these things, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to surround myself with these people. And just like you said, those people start coming to you. That's how we met, right? And that's not a coincidence that, when we finally came together through different things that we were both working on, it was like, oh, wow, I like really being around this person. Well, no kidding, because we put that out into the universe, right? It wasn't like we just randomly showed up somewhere. So I love that, setting it up ahead of time is, it takes time and
Yeah.
patience, and also knowing that it's okay to change that too, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Well, and just being reminded that anyone can start anything alone. It's okay if you feel alone at this point in time, at the very beginning. Sometimes it feels lonely, especially if you're an entrepreneur. A lot of times it feels lonely on that journey. So you have to show up as the person that you're ready to be, and that's when the universe, it works in a magical way, but it puts the types of people that you will be meant to be in connection with in your path. If you're showing up as your highest form, right? You're showing up, you're doing the things, you're growing, you're doing personal development, you're getting out there to meet people, right? I'm a very extroverted introvert. I need to recover after being around people. However, I also get fueled by meeting new people, but I have to get myself out there to begin with. So you have to find the things that bring you joy, or maybe find your introverts, but it's very hard to do if you're sitting at home. And you just have to remember, I started alone. However, I'll build my community because I will go further and I will go longer with a supportive community.
yeah, absolutely. And it's no coincidence. We're very similar when it comes to that, right? We're extroverted introverts. People tell me all the time, they're like, you have so much energy, there's no way that you're an introvert. I'm like, I actually am. I love to be alone. I love the silence. I love to, like, not have to entertain people. But when I'm around other people, I thrive. Like, I pull their energy in, and I love it so much. But the same thing goes for when you're around people that suck your energy out.
Yeah.
So we thrive off of that other people's energy. But if we're in a room where people like pull it away from us, it's even,
Energy suckers, that's what we
yeah,
call them.
energy suckers. And that's real, right? So we can choose to put the positive people around us to give us energy, or we can be around people who are going to take it away from us. And we control that, right? We control the people that we surround ourselves with. And it's okay not to be around those other people, because building the community that you want is hand picking almost, right? It's like picking the people that you want to be around. Who
Yeah.
do you want to spend your time with? That goes back to your time management. Who are you putting in your schedule that's going to help you succeed or pull all that away from you?
And I think when people start to feel frustrated and they're looking at the five people around them or their larger community and they don't feel like other people are supporting them or showing up for them, I challenge them to take stock and ask them, who are you showing up for? Are you showing up for other people, or are you just throwing a pity party wishing that you had a cheerleading section. You have to take time, you have to take stock and say, you know what? I don't have a cheerleading section, but you know what? I'm going to make it a point and I'm going to root for everyone else that I believe is doing something more, or I'm just going to encourage them because I think they're doing a good job. You have to be other people's cheerleaders before you expect them to show up.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, for me, that's something that we both do. Like like this week with surfing, right? You got to learn how to go surfing and become part of a completely different community, right? Because you did something that stepped you out of your comfort zone. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then what did you do? You tagged me in a post and then tagged a bunch of your friends. And you're like, I want to show you something awesome because this is how I'm extending my community. You did it naturally and without even knowing that we are going to talk about this today, right? So as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, all of these things are connected. It's happening in real life because that's what we did. We've created a community of the people and the things that we want around us. And then when we get excited about it, we want it to continue to grow. And like you said, it happens naturally. When you naturally put yourself in a place, these things are going to gravitate towards you and you're going to want to do something that you truly love to do with people that you love to do it. So when you're around it, you're like, oh, this is great. Like I'm going to thrive here. Like I'm going to thrive in this place that I am because I'm surrounding myself by all these people who want me to thrive. And the two of us do this all the time, not just for each other, but we do it for other people. I love watching other people succeed. I love being other people's cheerleader. I love, taking pictures of people and posting about them on social media and just being like, this person is amazing. And I mean every single word. I'm not doing it to blow smoke. I'm doing it because, wow, I met an amazing person. You need to meet that person too. And I love that.
And at the heart of it, when you're in a community, right, there's going to be the people that naturally show up as leaders. And I believe that leaders, they're joy spreaders, right? I share it because I felt elation or I felt excited and I want other people to feel that, right? I'm not going to like, it's all mine, it's all mine. I'm going to keep it to myself. If I'm spreading it and inviting people into my new community, maybe they've been part of my life in a different way, but I think they would love this. Why would I keep it to myself? And I think some people are afraid to share. I told you when I said yes to your surfing, I was like, but am I going to get hurt? Right? We go always to fear of the things that are uncomfortable
Right.
and fear of uncomfort. So you have to go, all right, I want to build a community. What kind of person do I want to surround myself with? Stop looking for that person and be that person.
Right. And like you said, right, you're like, am I going to get hurt? Well, I would never put you in a position where you would get hurt, right? But you also are saying, I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to trust this community too. I'm putting my trust in, I'm like, hey, anybody can get hurt doing anything. But if you trust me and you trust what we're doing, I'll make sure that you're as safe as you possibly can be. And I think that that also helps to really build a strong community because when you have trust in a friendship, it takes you to the next level. When you don't have that trust in a friendship or a community, you're never going to fully be yourself in that space because you're always this I want to entertain somebody else and I want to be what this person wants me to be. And we've done that for so long that I finally got to a point in my life where I don't want to entertain anybody anymore. I want to be myself and I want to surround myself with people who like me for me.
Well, and
Right.
it's not just the entertaining factor. You want to be in a community where you feel comfortable being your authentic self. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of times in life, we're a version of ourselves, but it might not be the most authentic self. The version of ourselves that shows up is the one that's based on stories or experiences or what someone has told us who we are, and we show up as that person because that's comfort, right? That's what we think we
Mm-hmm.
are. And when you know you're in the right community, it's when you're able to show up as your true authentic self. Maybe it's to someone you just want to sit on the side of them and you don't want to have to say anything because you're usually the person they say, she doesn't stop talking. Or you're the person, maybe some personal experience that has always been deemed as aggressive or mean or nasty. And in reality, your true friends see you as a kind, generous person.
I love that. And it's all perception, right? So depending on what side of you that these people have seen, those things are going to come out. And I recently said this to someone because I finally got to the point in my life where I decided to always be my authentic self. I Anyone prior to my 40s, I have done a disservice to only because I've never allowed them to see all of me. I would always show a piece of me because I was embarrassed about certain parts of my life, or I just didn't feel confident or comfortable with certain parts of my life. So I never truly allowed all those sides. Not that they, they all exist, but, not everybody would get to see all of me until I decided to be that authentic person. And when I started showing up as me, all of these amazing humans started showing up in my life. All of these powerful, amazing women started showing up in my life, and they have become my biggest supporters and my biggest friends. And I'm doing the same thing for them. I have had like this amazing experience over the past few years where I look around and go, wow, I have a lot of really amazing friends. But in my 30s, I'd be like, I have four friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I have like four friends, four people. And now it's like I have like a Rolodex of people I can call and get excited about and have conversation with and go out for coffee. And that's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing when you show up as yourself and surround yourself with people that you adore, because your community is it's amazing. And I'm excited just saying that because that's how we became friends and have these conversations on the show and talk about doing other things together. And it gets me amped up because I'm like, yes, we're going to see each other succeed. This is amazing. I love it. It's awesome.
It is great. One of the things that I do for clients and that I think continues to build that sense of community is I focus on group coaching a lot of times. And the reason I do that specifically with health and wellness is because you're in you're an uncomfortable journey, right? Typically getting back to health and wellness and wanting to feel healthier is uncomfortable because you created some habit that has made you unhealthy or just not the best version of you. So group coaching allows you to be a little bit vulnerable, but also relate to the other people that have said yes to this journey, even with mindset coaching, right? So many people have that negative self talk, and part of that negative self talk is I'm the only one that feels this way about myself. So, if someone is looking for the perfect realm to build community, group coaching is amazing. And one of the other things I love being a part of, and I have done for my teams in the past, is retreats. I love retreats because you get to bring a couple of walls down. You spend time, especially as an adult, right? It's like adult summer camp. Sometimes we're just so busy doing life, we don't get to do the fun things as an adult. And I always like to be the kind of the hostess with the mostest. I like doing, things and giving gifts and all that. And I'm not usually a gift giver is my love language. It's acts of service. So I'll do things for people. That's how I show that I want them to be a
Same.
part of my community. So if you're looking for a way to do that, maybe it doesn't have to be an overnight retreat, but it's a day retreat, just like your surf event at the beach. That's a community building exercise. Have group coaching, have group calls, invite other people in. When it's one-on-one and solitude all the time, that's how you're going to feel.
Absolutely. I love that so much. And I mean, just like everything else that we talk about, we just bring it all together and it's amazing. And the group coaching, I think, and the retreats, I think that is an amazing way to kind of end this segment and talk about you walk away with more friends, you walk away with another community, and it doesn't happen. You're not doing it on purpose. It just happens because you're in this space. And I find it so amazing. So when we come back, we are going to talk about imposter syndrome. So stay tuned. I'm Jen Potter, host of Networking Now, and we'll be right back.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on, and now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Soy un no abogado portavoz representando a un equipo de abogados que están listos para ayudar a personas que han padecido de lesiones o han sido agraviadas. Si estuvo involucrado en un accidente de automóvil o motocicleta, tiene derechos y es posible que pueda recibir compensación monetaria por su sufrimiento. No acepte cualquier oferta de las compañías de seguros hasta que hable con un abogado. Puede ser representado por alguno de los mejores abogados de lesiones personales del país. Abogados de sobrenombre que jugarán su reputación para ganar su caso. Y si no ganan, no cobran. Por lo tanto, si ha sufrido de un accidente de auto o motocicleta, llame ahora y descubra hoy mismo de qué tipo de compensación puede tener derecho. Recuerde, contamos con algunos de los mejores abogados de lesiones personales del país, listos para luchar por usted. Y si no ganan su caso, no cobran. Llame a la línea de ayuda legal ahora mismo.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, the host of Networking Now, and I am joined here with Jennifer Hobson. Thank you so much for coming back. We've managed to talk about some amazing topics over this episode, and we're going to talk about something even more awesome because this is a topic I adore, is imposter syndrome. So Jen, why don't you tell me your thoughts on imposter syndrome?
I enjoy that you said you enjoy imposter syndrome because I don't think many people enjoy imposter syndrome. It's one of those things that you avoid like the plague, and the more successful you are, the more it happens to show up. It really is that creeping feeling that you're not deserving of the things that you have or the things that you have accomplished. And it's that nagging voice and nagging feeling that you're not deserving. And first of all, very, very clear, imposter syndrome is a liar. Don't listen to it. That's the base of imposter syndrome. But I think what's important is I have found imposter syndrome tends to show up more frequently when people stop taking the actions and doing the things that made them successful in the first place. When people get complacent, they get comfortable, they pull it back, they stop doing the actions, the daily, the consistency that they did in the first place. So what happens is you start to doubt yourself because you know that you're not showing up as your best self.
That's really well said. That's really well said.
It's really what happens, and you're not showing up as your best self. So then those thoughts start to creep in. Well, I'm not deserving of this because I'm not earning it. And yes, there is a point in time where just enjoy your success and you can take a hot second. But when those voices start to creep in, you go back to basics. What are the things that got you to where you are now? And what are the things that are going to get you to the next level, if there is a next level? To overcome imposter syndrome, you have to take action. You have to get into activity, whatever level of activity that looks like for what you're doing. And at a very, very basics, you want to let go of those thoughts. Basic journaling, reading. If you're filling your mindset with positive information, there's no room for imposter syndrome.
I love the journaling part of it. I find that for me, that's something I truly love to do. It gives me a moment of reflection. But, as you started to kind of explain it, because like I always feel like imposter syndrome, it's interesting because, different people have different takes on it. And I firmly believe that it was made up to make people feel even worse. And, because those people go, well, I worked really hard and I don't want to work this hard. So therefore I shouldn't have to. Instead of coming up with a strategic plan on how to work more efficiently and maybe change the way that you are working and change it to more delegation, right? So we can revel in our success and maybe not work as hard as we worked before. But if we're able to kind of refocus and re-strategize, it will give us an opportunity to still be a part of our success, but then also maybe move to a different level of that success within, your accomplishments. Because I think sometimes there are so many people that are like, they grind, right? Myself included. I work so much in the summer. Like there was a week that I worked like 100 hours one week, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like this is insane. I shouldn't have to work this hard. But I know that part was temporary, but for me, like I'm always going to be a hard worker. It's something that it's just how I work, right? And not everybody's like that, but I do know that I don't always want to work this hard. So like I do start to delegate. I run 5 businesses and people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I delegate. Like, yes, I work really hard. And I'm always working really hard when I'm starting another company. But I know that as I can't keep up that, but I do want to work really hard. And I don't want that imposter syndrome, like you said, I don't want that to show up anywhere. And so like I just need to re-strategize. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten really better at that. But I think at some point in most of our lives, we do question that. And have you ever gotten to a point in your life that you've ever felt it or you've ever thought about it? And how has it affected you?
So what's interesting about what you're saying, it brings me to, a specific point and thought. So there's the one side where people work extremely, extremely hard, and those thoughts don't even get to come in because they're taking so much action. And what's interesting is the people that start to delegate and give things out tend to get in more because then they go, well, I'm not working hard, and look how successful I am.
I feel so called out.
I love Hal Elrod, right? I love Hal Elrod, the miracle equation, because it's consistency and it's extraordinary things that you're doing, but they're not extraordinary. These things, you're not moving mountains and you're not Mother Teresa, providing miracles to people to create this success. And I think
I'm
that's
not.
where it starts to creep in. That's where it starts to creep in because we're like, well, the things that I'm doing, they're not physically that hard. Like there are people that are hard workers, like they're out in construction and it's 100 million degrees. That's hard work. What I'm doing is not hard work. It's meaningful. If I show up consistently daily to do it, and I think you asked me the question of where it showed up. So in my network marketing business, I promoted to the top 2% of the company, right? And there's a point where there's a lot of pomp and circumstance and you walk the stage in a fancy dress, and that's not in all companies, right? But in most people, they don't get to walk the stage because they did something amazing. But that was what happened. And I walked in, I was like, but what I did wasn't that hard.
To
Do I
you.
deserve this? Do I deserve this? Or did I just show up consistently with a clear goal and a clear vision, and I did it no matter what? And that's what makes me successful. So you have to really peel back the onion and go, all right, maybe it doesn't take hard work. Maybe a lot of the things you were saying you're doing in your 100-hour week, they weren't hard, but showing up for 100 hours, that's hard, right? There's a lot of the things you probably enjoyed. And as you delegate in the next few months more and more to the people you've built this trust with, you have to watch for that imposter syndrome to go, because I'm doing so much less, yet I'm being way more successful than I ever was. Do I deserve this? I'm not doing as much. And that's where you have to step back and go, you know what? I'm deserving. And in your journaling, really dig deep. You are deserving because everyone in this universe is deserving of success. I think we're in this age of we're growing out of it, I'm hoping, but a lot of times I can't be successful if she's successful in the same thing. And we have to get out of that and go, we're all entitled to a level of success that we're willing to work for. And the work doesn't have to be backbreaking, it just has to be consistent.
That's amazing. Consistency is key, and we all are deserving. That is so well said. Thank you so much, Jen, for that. I appreciate that very much. And we're going to cut to our next break. And I'm Jen Potter, host of Networking Now, and we'll be right back.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the engine, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Welcome back. I'm Jen Potter, host of Networking Now, joined with Jennifer Hobson. Thank you so much for coming back, Jen. And we're going to talk about holistic approach to wellness. So welcome back.
Thank you. I always enjoy talking about holistic approach, though I am finding the word holistic is starting to become, kind of one of the fluff words. It's very similar to when you go to the grocery store and everything says organic and you're like, nah. I call that one out a little bit. So holistic, I think, is becoming a little trendy. So you have to be aware of where you're going for your information. When you're talking about a holistic approach to your health and wellness, when I think about a holistic approach, what I think is mind, body, and grace. And what I mean by grace is we have to be willing to forgive ourselves for things that we may have done to our body in the past, to our mind in the past, things that we've done that weren't perfection. And we have to be willing to forgive ourselves and let ourselves go if we really want to feel the best. You can fuel your body with really good food. You can start in personal development, but if you haven't forgiven yourself for things that you've done in the past, you're still going to keep hitting that wall of truly feeling whole, holistic wellness.
I really like that. And I love that you added grace to that. And I mean, it's one of my favorite words to begin with, so much so I named a kid after that word. To always, it's funny because it's to always remind yourself to give yourself grace. And I love that you said that because we go through all of these different things. You're like, oh, I'm gonna eat like crap today so I can eat better tomorrow. And I feel like that's the result of never getting to that point where we actually said, you know what, this is what we did and this is what we're going to do, like moderation when it comes to food or exercise or whatever that may look like. And it looks different for everybody else. But I love that your twist is slightly different. And I love that you also use the analogy like organic. I mean, it only has to be a certain percentage to be organic. So, I mean, are we really even doing it? So, adding that extra step of forgiveness, I think is really beautiful. And it really, while you were saying it, it just really made me think and just say, wow, have I forgiven myself for some of the things in the past? And it really just like, you just gave me like this aha moment just then. It was a really awesome feeling in that moment. And so what are some examples of something that maybe you have done in the past and you have forgiven yourself in order to get to that next level?
I mean, we could go down my nitty-gritty path, but that's another conversation.
I mean, just
I think it's one of those things when even in your adolescence, right, you make immature decisions, and that's actually the part of growing up. You make immature decisions so that you can learn from them and you can grow from them, and you can learn, you know what, that wasn't great for me, and next time I'll make a different decision. I think as a coach and as a support mentor when it comes to health and wellness, is I try to dig deeper even with myself and with my clients. And a lot of people, when they're on a wellness journey, they start food journaling. Right? And I really think your health and wellness is so much more than writing down the food that you've eaten today. And it's just like in life, it's so much more than what you've done in this moment and today. But you have to be willing to say, I cannot change. I can't change it, literally anything I've even said in the last 30 seconds. I can't change that. So I have to accept that that has happened. And I can either choose to move forward or I can choose to replay those negative moments over and over and over again. And that's where I choose to live versus living in the present. And so many people do that and they become that identity, especially with their health and wellness. Well, I've always been overweight. That's just who I am. I have a bad habit of talking down to myself. That's just who I am. And really, health and wellness journey needs to be so much more than what you have done and just writing down what you've eaten for the day.
I mean that in itself is so true too, right? So one of the biggest things that I focus on is being in the present. Everything I do has to be in the present. When somebody, apologizes for something, I'm like, why are you apologizing? It's over. It's done with. There's nothing I can do about it. I used to get so worked up about so many things that were external, and then I would just stop and ask myself, why am I getting worked up? I can choose to change how I'm going to interact moving forward, or just like you said, I can continue to wallow in any of that self pity. But wallowing doesn't do us anything. It just makes us feel even worse. But if you can say, okay, I'm going to change my strategy, therefore I'm going to change. And it's funny how, like, all the different things that we talked about today just kind of they snowballed all into the same thing, because like just thinking about that made me think of imposter syndrome in our thought process and how we're going to deal with that, and that wallowing in self-pity. So it's amazing how, like, and I know it was kind of set up a little bit like this way as well, but like just really sitting and reflecting and taking the time to just acknowledge where you are and where you want to be. Because where we were, we have no control over it, right? Even in the beginning of our conversation, anything that happened at the beginning of this show, we have no control over it. It's already over and done with. And I love that. Like I love when other people acknowledge that, because they're like, no, this happened today. I'm like, no, that happened before, but now we're going to change how we're going to do the rest of the day. Or when somebody says, I think that this is important for people to think about, I'm having a bad day. Are you though? You might be having a series of bad moments, but was your day really that terrible? And when you can change your perspective with those little tiny things, oh, I had a bad few moments, I had a bad hour. You didn't fully have a bad day. I mean, I had a rough hour this morning. My day was fantastic. Like, overall, it was a great day. And it's still continuing to be a great day because it's still early. And just being able to really think about those things as, we're kind of going through our lives, like, and especially that holistic side of it, and that, that pure version. And so when you hear the word holistic and you think of, like, you're thinking about food or you're thinking about medicine or whatever that may mean, what is another thought process that you have when you think of the word holistic?
Fueling your body with as many whole foods as possible. That's really what I think of when I'm thinking holistically, is how can I take care of the one body that we've all been given at the most basic form. And that, again, it goes to progress, not perfection. But how many times can I choose something that comes in its raw form, or, very little processing, like you cooked a sweet potato, right? That's very low processed food. So how many times can I fuel my body with nutrient dense whole foods over the alternative?
I really like that. And because like it's funny because I think of the food side, I think of the holistic medicine side, and just like everything that just kind of encompasses it. And I never really thought about this until I got older. Was, I would always hear people say your body is a temple. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever that means, right? And it didn't really dawn on me till I got older and I wasn't as invincible as I used to be. And I got diagnosed with a heart condition and all of those things that I really started realizing, right? Wow, my body really is a temple, right? I need to really pay attention to the things that go inside my body. I need to pay attention to the things that make me feel good. Like today when I came home, I was starving. And the first thing I'm like, I want a bag of chips. I don't need a bag of chips, but I wanted it because I was so hungry. And instead, I chopped up a bunch of vegetables and a bunch of chicken and, with my balsamic dressing. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to have. And when I was done eating, I was like, wow, I feel fantastic. But if I ate the bag of chips first, I probably would have felt awful. I had 4 or 5 chips because I wanted to cure that craving. But if I ate the chips first, I would have ate the whole bag because I changed that thought process. I was able to have what I wanted, but when I was done eating, I felt really good and I felt hydrated and I felt like I got nutrition. So I think it's really great that, that thought process of saying the more stuff that we fuel into our body, we're not as sick as often. We don't need as much medication. We're not going to the doctors as much. I mean, that is as real as it gets. I eat super healthy all the time. Sometimes it's not a choice. But I mean, if it wasn't, I mean, it still is. And I love the fact that, taking care of your body and all of that, it's just so important. So with all of this stuff being said, I'm not sure if there's anything else that you want to add to this, but then also tell everybody how they can get a hold of you after the show.
Well, what I love that you mentioned, right? You chose the more whole food option, but you curbed your craving with some chips. And that goes to the progress, not perfection. I'm never telling you never eat a salty potato chip ever again in your life, but maybe not as a meal, right?
Right.
Option. So no, one of the things that we do at Shine Up Coaching is we work with people on creating habits. You have the personal one-on-one support, but the community support with groups. And exactly what you were saying, what you did is sustainable. We create a sustainable lifestyle focused on holistic living, and you become the person you need to be to reach whatever goal, right? You have to become that person, because that's that person that reached the goal, not the old person. There's a reason they didn't reach that goal. They're not that person yet. But anyone can always have a conversation with me. You can email me at jenniferhobsonbp@gmail, or one of my programs might be the right fit for you, and you can go to shineupcoaching.com, and you can always find us on social, Shine Up Coaching.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jennifer, for joining us today. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Make sure you check out Shine Up Coaching. Check out Jennifer Hobson on social media. She is amazing to follow. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends. She really is doing amazing things, connects with really amazing people as well. And I am Jen Potter. I am the host of Networking Now, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone low-cost airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
¿Te gustan los deportes? ¿Estás listo para llevarlos contigo donde quiera? Gracias a nuestra nueva tecnología tienes todos tus programas favoritos en tu televisor, tu computadora y tu teléfono inteligente. 100% de tu programación disponible donde sea por un bajo precio. Llama ahora mismo para que no te pierdas ni un minuto de la acción deportiva que tanto te gusta. Aprovecha esta oferta que te trae National Programming Service con precios tan bajos que no podemos publicar. Suscríbete ya y la activación, los equipos en instalación profesional básica son completamente gratis. Comienza a disfrutar de la mejor programación en las próximas horas. Son más de 180 canales, programación deportiva, telenovelas, programas para niños y todo el fútbol que quieras. Y si llamas en los próximos 10 minutos, te incluiremos